My bike is famous for being a nightmare to remove the engine head cover. I thought that just removing the cover was a nightmare, not to maintain the engine, but it really was a nightmare. Fujiko Channel, ride in Japan. There are many difficult things in maintenance and servicing, such as losing a screw and having to find it, or breaking something when you try to fix it. But with engines, it's hard to assemble them properly. Not only is it difficult to remember the structure, but it's also difficult to tighten the screws with the right amount of force to create just the right gap. And if you drop a screw inside the engine, it's hell. It's quite nerve-wracking. Considering that, removing the head cover on the outside of the engine is classified as one of the easiest parts of engine maintenance. After removing the screws, it was a nightmare to pull it out of the main body. There were about 4 extremely difficult puzzles to overcome before I could push aside the frame, wires, cables, and pipes and pull it out of the main body. I'm not a mechanic, but I've done engine maintenance on several engines, including 2-stroke and 4-stroke, by taking them down. So it's not my first time servicing an engine. I understand the structure to a certain extent. Despite that, it took me 2 hours just to remove the head and 3 hours just to put it back on. I can't believe the engine started making clicking noises. Strange noises are no joke. This time too, it was a sign of major destruction. I wonder if your bike is okay. In my case, the oil jet was clogged. Many modern bikes use oil injection to cool them, so I wonder if the same thing is happening to other bikes. This is the oil injection port. Oil is sprayed from a nozzle, like that of a spray can, lubricating and cooling each part. Where it gets clogged can have various adverse effects, but the engine of my KTM250duke got hot. Even just idling while waiting at a traffic light, the water temperature rises rapidly. My bike is secondhand, 5 years old with 1,000 km on the clock, but it has tended to heat up since I bought it. I thought it was strange. But it's Indian-made bike, so I thought that was just how it was, but I was wrong. If you think the fan on your bike has been spinning a lot lately, you should be careful. I also found iron chips coming out of the oil. This photo shows the oil at its worst. After waiting about 3 weeks for the replacement parts to arrive, in the end the rocker arm was worn down. If you find iron chips in the engine oil, your engine is on the verge of breaking down. So go to a bike shop right away. I've had the bike for 3 years now with 28,000 km on the clock, and I started hearing the clicking noise when it hit over 20,000 km. I thought it was just a gap, so I let my guard down. I changed the oil every 3,000 km or so I never thought something like this would happen. It's important to open up the engine after all. I blew out the oil jets and injection, nozzles with parts cleaner, adjusted the tappet clearance, and reassembled the engine. It was a nightmare from the start, and I think this is only the Duke, but it's hell when you can't get the key cover off. It's hell when you can't get the key cover off. For the first hour or so, just trying to remove the cover is a pain. It's really hard and there's nowhere to apply force. I couldn't even get my finger in. I removed it with a wrench, prepared to grind the key cylinder. I'll explain it briefly, so I hope viewers can get a feel for maintenance. First, I prepared a head gasket and the original rubber. Other items included a thickness gauge, liquid gasket, 14mm hex, M4 screws, a plate ratchet wrench, a magnet from a Daiso pickup tool, and a cable tie. I got a valve shim kit for Harley, with a diameter of 10mm and a height of 1.85mm or 3.20mm. The thickness of my bike was in the range of 2.60mm to 2.80mm, so if you have the same bike, it might be a good idea to buy a few in that range, even if not a set. As for the rocker arms, I found a set of 4 reinforced rocker arms on eBay, so I bought them, but what arrived was 4 genuine parts. The total cost for tools and parts was about $150. The side cover can be removed by lifting it up and sliding it back. The radiator cover-like thing has a bolt that holds the side cover on top, and a hexagon and washer, which are hard to see here, so it's dangerous if you don't use a magnet to remove it. After that, I'll remove the reservoir tank cover and put it back on. I'll drain the coolant later. If you're only adjusting the tappet clearance, you don't need to drain the coolant. Now I'm going to remove the gas tank, but since the tubes won't come out right away, I need a string to hang them on the handlebars for a while. I connected about 4 cable ties to support it. It's relatively easy to work on the gas tank if you lift the left side. I pulled out the fuel sensor from the gas tank and also pushed this green one from both sides to remove it from the gas tank. I also removed the 2 attached to the gas filter. Be careful, as a lot of gasoline will drip from what looks like a gas filter. There are also 2 black tubes, one of which is attached to the gas tank, and I loosened it and removed it. I pulled this one while it was still attached and pulled it out as it was. This will remove the gas tank, so I placed it on top of a cardboard box. Next, I'm going to clean up the top of the engine head, push the brown one out, and then pull the main body forward to remove it. There is a hose attached, so we need to remove it. The base is held in place by a single hexagonal screw, so we'll remove it from the side. There's also another bolt bundling the cables, so it's better to remove that first. Remove the blow-by hose and the spark plug wire and you're ready to go. This cover on the left side of the car doesn't have to be removed, but it's necessary to make space for the engine head cover. Once you've removed the head bolts, it's time for some puzzle time. The front right side of the engine head cover protrudes, so you need to move it out of the way of the frame, distort the rubber gasket, and bring the protrusion onto the frame. From here, lift the rear right side of the head cover to make it this shape. Remember the shape it has when viewed from above the car. If you don't bring it into this shape when you put it back, you won't be able to put it back. It'll take 2 hours to get to this next state. Once you get to this point, pull it out as if you're going to remove the rubber gasket. Once you've pulled it out, it's a good idea to apply liquid gasket to the head. Cover and glue a rubber gasket on it for when you put it back. After that, the spark plug hole, or rather, the tube, is just stuck in here, so you can turn it around and pull it out. Now, finally, aligning the cam. I've never seen a 14mm hexagon before, so I bought one. After removing the cap, align the cam with a 14mm socket. Align the T vertically and the horizontal line with the engine cylinder. Then measure the tappet clearance, but the thickness gauge won't fit in at all. It goes in through this thin slit, but that one is easier. It gets stuck here, and the thickness gauge won't fit. So it's quite difficult with the thickness gauge. I've never had this much trouble with the head cover, but I think it's because my brain is tired from the puzzle-like head cover. From here, I'll remove the cam. First, loosen the cam chain tensioner here. If you turn it all the way clockwise with a flathead screwdriver, it will lock and stop in the case of the KTM, but the cam chain won't loosen all the way. So it's easier to just remove it in the end. So it's better to remove it from the beginning. It's not that much work. Remove the guide that holds the cam in place. There are 8 bolts. There are 2 different lengths, so be careful. If you drop a bolt or something into the engine around here, it will be hell. So I recommend using a magnet to support it while removing it. This cam cover also serves as an oil path, supplying oil to the cam to cool it. It has an oil jet that is used for lubrication. This hole is so tiny, I can't even fit an interdental brush in it. It's really the size of a spray hole. I thought, sure enough, oil residue and sludge would accumulate in this. And sure enough, it was clogged. It was one of 4, but for some reason, it wasn't in the place where the worn-out rocker arm was. What's going on? I sprayed some parts cleaner and all the holes were completely penetrated. This isn't something you need to check regularly to see if it's clogged. After assembling it, I ran it and the coolant temperature was kept low, which is great, but it looks like it's going to get clogged soon. Do you know how to deal with this? Next, you remove the camshaft. But if the cam chain comes off the lower sprocket, it's a big deal, so you need to keep it pulled. You can use rubber or string, but I'm scared, so I hung it on the frame with a cable tie. Also, it's easier to assemble if you mark the chain and camshaft, but it will wash away with oil, so it's better not to touch the marked area. While pulling the chain with one hand, remove the cam, but be careful because it will slip with oil. The work is not that difficult, but if you don't have a place to put the cam, it's quite difficult. Once the cam is removed, you'll finally meet the shim. There is a shim that looks like a button battery under the black rocker arm. Here is the Daiso pickup tool. Be careful because you won't be able to remove it without a magnet. If you're just adjusting the clearance, you can measure the height of the shim here, and if the clearance is wider than the specified value, you can replace it with a taller shim, but if the rocker arm is worn down, like mine was, and there are iron chips mixed in with the oil, you need to replace it immediately. I didn't have a rocker arm, so I put it back together, ordered it, waited about 3 weeks for the parts to arrive, and then opened the head again. I was running the red zone a lot, but there was no damage to the other 3, so in my case, it seems that the red zone and wear don't have much to do with it. It's more important how clogged the oil jet is. So, to replace the rocker arm, you have to remove the cover of this hexagonal screw on the left side of the engine before you can enter. I drained the coolant to remove the pipe that connects to the radiator in the front. I need to remove the shaft that supports the rocker arm in the back, but the shaft has an M4 hole, so I need to prepare an M4 screw. The shaft comes out easily, so just insert the screw shallowly and move it slowly. Even if you remove it all at once, the rocker arm won't fall into the engine, but I was afraid. So I moved the shaft little by little and removed each rocker arm one by one. I roughly measured it, and the worn rocker arm was 0.72 mm, while the intact rocker arm was 0.004 mm, which was more recessed than the new one. For example, a faint scratch in the paint is about 0.01 mm. At 0.044 mm, it's just a measurement error. The paint looked peeled off, so that's about right. This isn't enough to call it wear, and I wanted to see how much it would wear out if I drove it, so I reused this one. I replaced the one that was worn with a new one. I'll put it back here and adjust the tappet clearance, which you've been waiting for. The standard value for the intake side is 0.08 to 0.12 mm, and for the exhaust side it is 0.13 to 0.18 mm. I adjusted the intake side to 0.1 and 0.08, and the exhaust side to 0.10 and 0.13. The parts that don't match are the numbers that were there from the beginning, so they're left as they are. I've driven 28,000 kilometers, so I felt like it was too late to change it now. However, after I put it together, the clicking sound around idle has decreased, but there is still a lot of clicking sound from 5,000 RPM. The measurements I took when I was putting the engine together aren't very reliable. The parts may not have been familiar with each other. The original clearance is a little narrower. I think it would be better to adjust it to that. I was worried, so I did it again from scratch. In the end, I adjusted it to the factory settings, with the intake side at 0.08 and the exhaust side at show 10. The clicking sound didn't change from 5,000 RPM. After that, just put it back together in reverse order. There's a hellish 3 hours of fitting the cylinder head though. I want you to use this photo as a reference. There are a few dead ends that you can't go back to. The right way is to have the front and back straight with the right side higher. It sounds difficult when you hear the word engine, but it's designed so that even an amateur can remove the lid and replace parts. I'd love for you to give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, don't forget to like it. I'll see you in the next video.